You train doctors, right, to place full arch. So the doctors come in, they watch, and they learn, and they can even get hands-on, I believe. When they're coming in and they're learning this, what do you think their biggest hangups are from being successful with full arch?
What I find is there are other teaching facilities out there that teach procedures, the surgery part of it. That's where the holdup is for most of these doctors. They go learn the procedure and then they go back to their office. Now they're stuck. They don't know what to do with that.
Dentists are delusional. They think that if they learn more clinical dentistry, it'll fix their business problems. And actually, it's not true. Now, is it very important that you learn clinical skills? Of course, right? If we don't have a dentist and we don't have good clinical skills, then nothing works, and that causes a lot of problems. Live, and I am excited to have this conversation because I get to do awesome things because I get to talk to awesome people. And I actually got to meet Dr. Sean in person at one of his facilities, 4M, out in Long Beach. And man, my mind was blown. So I got to see the whole thing. I got to see where they practice, where they do their training. I saw the cameras that you guys have for the training that you guys do. I saw where you guys have all of your team capturing leads, working on those leads, turning them into patients. I saw your whole process. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's one of the most amazing dental offices that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of them. And you have one of the most, not just beautiful, but just optimized for success. So I'm so excited to talk to you today, Dr. Sean. And what I want to ask you is, what's the number one thing that you're seeing that's helping offices grow when it comes to full arch?
Well, thank you, Gary, for having me. I appreciate it. That you visited my forum in Long Beach a couple of weeks ago. It was nice to meet you as well. From my experience right now at this point, the number one reason why so much the full arch is becoming so big and making everyone want to grow their full arch practice is the actual demand that's out there. I'm not sure if you know, but there's over 40 million Americans that are fully edentulous. When I say 40 million, that makes it 80 million arches available out there. And most of these patients actually don't know about their options, right? They go to the dentist or they don't go to the dentist for the longest time. And when they do, most dentists tell them your denture is your only option. And then through us, people like us, Clear Choice and so on, doing these marketings, more and more of these patients are asking about these procedures. So dentists are realizing that they're missing the boat. So now that everybody's getting into it, and therefore from there, just everything else follows too.
Wow, that's such a good point. Yeah, I love that number. I haven't heard that one before. 40 million people. That's over 10%. That has to be 12, 15% of total population in America. And when you look at adults, it's even going to be higher than that. And another number that I've seen, go ahead.
I was just going to say that that's only edentulous patients. And there's a huge population they have terminating teeth and they're hanging on to those teeth because they don't want to wear dentures or they don't want a million different appointments at the dentist. So they're just kind of dragging those teeth along.
Hey, got an important announcement for you. We are hosting the second annual Full Arch Advantage event where you learn to create, convert, and close more full arches so your office can grow the way that you want. This is going to be in partnership with BioHorizons, and this is our second year, but the important part is it's going to be virtual, so you don't have to fly out, buy hotels, travel with your team. You can just register and block off the days and watch virtually. And right now we have early bird pricing. It's never going to be cheaper than right now. I don't even have a discount code because it's so cheap. It's only $199 right now to register. And it's for your team. It's for your dentists. It's for your treatment coordinators, your dental assistants, and your marketing managers. And you're going to learn a ton of stuff to grow. Last year's event had a 74 NPS score, which is amazing. And the feedback was really, really good. So if you're looking at leveling up, we have a ton of new content, a ton of new automations and things that you can add to your practice to really grow, and executing on the phones to make sure that you can grow the way that you want. So don't miss this. Go to Full Arch Advantage right now and sign up. This price will not be around for long. Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, I heard another number recently. There's 10,000 baby boomers retiring every single day as well. And these are people who live active lives and they're going to live for another 20, 30 years. And so what are they going to do? Like, who's going to help them? And you make a great point about marketing, because I think back in the day when I got into dental, clear aligners were not a thing. Like invisible braces were not a thing. You could only do bracket braces. And I remember when clear aligners started to come out, patients had no idea what it was. And it was really Invisalign that educated the market. And they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars. And what that's done is it created a whole market. Now everybody knows what aligners are. Everybody. Like nobody doesn't know what aligners are. Everybody knows that that's an option. And so it kind of sells itself now because the heavy lifting's been done. But full arch is just on that it's not there yet, obviously, right? But it's just people are starting to learn. I think most people know dental implants are a thing, but they don't understand the full arch and how that works and how you can have something that's not only cosmetically very appealing, but also looks amazing, and also functions amazing, right? You can eat with it and all those kind of things.
And the timing. I mean, most patients, they are looking for a fast, good solution, and this full arch gives them all those reasons. And just like you said, like clear aligners. Now we have patients that coming to us saying, I want that all on whatever it's called thing. Literally, they walk into our practices every day.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you're working with these offices, because you train doctors, right, to place full arch. So the doctors come in, they watch you guys at work, and they learn, and they can even get hands-on, I believe. So when they're coming in and they're learning this, what do you think their biggest hangups are from being successful with full arch?
So Forum Institute, which is located in Long Beach, California, is our institute, which is a really boutique teaching facility, teaching full arch basically to doctors. Now, what I find is there are other teaching facilities out there that teach procedures, the surgery part of it. And that's where the holdup is for most of these doctors. They go learn the procedure and then they go back to their office. Now they're stuck. They don't know what to do with that, right? Because this is not a patient that's just going to call and say, hey, I want a cleaning or I want a filling. This is a lot more involved. So what we do, which is very different, is not only we teach the surgery part, which is important, don't get me wrong, but it's a fraction of what you really need to have a full arch practice. So we take the business side of it, we take the team coaching part of it, the call center, the marketing. There are all these elements that really need to integrate together so you can have that proper full arch practice. Otherwise, just learning the procedure, you may be able to do one here, one there, and then there's going to be a lot of disappointments because you don't do it right. The team doesn't know what's going on. And then it just falls apart. That's the biggest challenge I see.
And how many arches are you guys doing a month? Just to give people context, because you have a machine. You do a lot.
Yeah, we do close to 100 arches a month right now.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah. And so, and that's, and you're 100% right. The problem that most dentists run into is that I actually just was on a phone call and a dentist told me this, a successful dentist. He said, dentists are delusional. They think that if they learn more clinical dentistry, it'll fix their business problems. And actually, it's not true. Now, is it very important that you learn clinical skills? Of course, right? You can't, no, if we don't have a dentist and we don't have good clinical skills, then nothing works. And that causes a lot of problems. But that doesn't solve any of your business problems. And what I've seen personally, and something we've added in this to our process as well, is like, great, you've learned clinically, but what about sales and what about marketing and what about all the other components that come into that? And so you guys actually work with the practices on all of those fronts, like you help them piece that all together.
Right. So we have a 3-day course that we put together that goes through all of that. Obviously, you can't teach everything in 3 days. Yeah. But then we have mentorship. That mentorship includes clinical skills, digital workflow, team coaching, the business side of things, basically pretty much marketing and so on.
That's amazing. Yeah. Cause it's a lot. And let's be fair, you're not going to learn everything, right? Like you can't learn everything. There's too many things to learn, but even just getting a roadmap or getting some support around these things is massive. And I would love to understand, like, where did you start when you started placing implants? Did you start as this, like, okay, we're going to have this facility, or how did you actually create the facilities that you have? I mean, how did that happen?
I'm a dinosaur, right? So I'm a little older. I started back in early 2000s when I got into implant dentistry, just simple implant dentistry. And I've gone through all phases of dentistry. So I'm really experienced in everything that dentistry has to offer. And it was at the downfall of the the economy back in 2006, where I was doing all kinds of stuff, I realized that I can't keep doing that. I'm kind of spinning my wheels. And so I kind of started focusing on implant dentistry, and my practice boomed. I went from about a $1.7 million practice to almost $5 million practice in a little over a year period. But I was focused. I knew once I got to surgery, I knew I loved it. So the business side of it is something that I just learned as I went. Obviously, there's nobody back then teaching me that. The clinical side of it also, it was just a lot of pieces that I had to put together. So there was a lot of trial and error on my side to learn this. But once I got it, man, it just everything took off. So by 2000, I want to say 14, 15, I truly dedicated my practices to full arch. But at the time, I only had one practice, working 3 days a week. And I realized that the demand is out there, and there's just not enough supplies, not enough doctors out there doing this. So I want to say I was one of the very first institutes that really put a true A to Z full arch course together back in 2019. And that's when I built Long Beach Forum Institute, Forum Dental Implant Centers. So since then, it's been a blessing. We've had clinics, and our clinics are really the lab test. I mean, we test everything. We test the digital workflow, the clinical, the team, the softwares, everything that comes into the market, which is a million different things. We really test all of those. And then once we realize that it works and economically it makes sense, then we put it through the institute and teach to everybody else.
That's so amazing. That's really, really cool. Such a journey. Where if you were starting today, like let's pretend you just graduated school and you've been working, probably floating around some dental practices, working in a couple different organizations and things like that. And you were like, you know what, I want to start my own practice. But keep in mind, you're probably a couple $100,000 in debt minimum. Like I think the people are coming out 400, 500,000, but let's just say you're $300,000 in debt. How would you start a practice now? Like, what would you do? Would you start a GP practice and then add full arch, or would you just go full in on full arch?
I think either way, I think it works. Depends on your personality and what you're trying to really, if you want to be that perfectionist, and maybe you should start from scratch, but starting from scratch is a little bit more challenging if you don't have a lot of experience. But if you're going to start with purchasing a practice, you want a practice that maybe doesn't really do a lot of implants or doesn't do the advanced techniques in dentistry. And then once you add that to the practice, now your practice becomes so much more valuable, right?
Yeah.
Taking a practice that doesn't offer implant dentistry and you incorporate implant dentistry, you 10x your revenue easily.
That's so cool.
So
yeah. And then it's also more valuable. So it's not just more valuable from a cash flow standpoint. It's also more valuable if you ever decide to sell it as well, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the future of dentistry is implant dentistry and full arch.
Yeah, there's a long runway. There's it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing.
We're just scratching the surface right now, I believe.
I agree. I totally agree. And remember, and dentists will push back on this because I've had dentists push back on this. Mm-hmm. Remember when clear aligners came out? Remember the orthodontist said, nope, we're not doing this. Like, these are not good. They're not, they really pushed back. And it was the GPs that really adopted it and started really taking it on. Now everybody does it. And it's universally accepted now. Like, you can use, you like Invisalign, not like Invisalign, whatever. There's tons of options now. But from a clinical standpoint, it only makes sense if people's teeth are failing. What else are you going to do? You know what I mean? You're going to end up doing something like this. So I totally agree with you. This is the future, and it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing, at least for the next 30, 40 years. Like, it has to. It has to help these patients. And that's really what it boils down to, is like really changing lives, really helping people. And I know that you're really big on that as well.
Yeah, very, very big.
Awesome. Well, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this full arch implant dentistry really brings three things into your life, into your practice. Those are the three things that everybody in this world is looking to have. when they think of a career. And those three things are work less, make more, and change lives. And there's nothing else in dentistry, especially that can offer you that except full arch.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
I have told people before, no one, when you do a filling for somebody, no one cries, right? No one's going to be like, yo, thank you so much. They're thankful that you get them out of pain, but they're not crying. Like, how many times, Dr. Sean, have you had a patient cry in your office because you changed their life? Probably more than you can count.
Yeah, there's a saying that we have in our practice that most dental offices want to see their patients smile. We actually want to see our patients cry.
That's so good. That's so good.
Joy to see them cry.
That's so good.
Happiness, yeah.
Okay, so a lot of our audience are listening to this. A lot of people are either just adding full arch to their practice, or they're just getting started. They're thinking about it and they're learning. If someone wants to reach out to you and learn from you guys, what's the best way to get connected?
Easiest is to, if you want to register for a course, go to 4minstitute.com, 4minstitute.com. You're welcome to email me personally at dr.sean, SEAN, at 4mdentalimplants.com. But through the website, you should be able to easily get a hold of any of us. We have a course actually coming up April 26th through 28th. Again, it's a 3-day course, but the beautiful part of it is the very first time we're actually offering live surgery for the participants. So we provide the patients, they get to go through the whole course, but they also get to perform the surgery with obviously our supervision. So look into it because the seats are limited.
That's so awesome. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I promise you guys this is coming from a non-clinician guy, right? I'm a marketing guy. The facility is off the charts. Like, it's off the charts. You're going to be blown away when you go there, and you're going to learn from the best. So Dr. Sean, thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Gary.